Let's try a word problem because, after all, word problems basically are math in real life, and this is how you're going to see mathematics in real life. So let's say that the senior class put on a talent show as a fundraiser, and tickets cost $7 for adults and $4 for students. 185 people attended the show, and the ticket sales totaled $1,115. Assume everyone purchased their own ticket, and everyone who purchased a ticket attended the show. How many adults attended the show? How many students attended the show? All right, so this is going to be, we're going to use a system of equations to figure out the answer to this problem. And the question is, how many adults attended the show? How many students attended the show? So what you should notice first off is you have a lot of information. You have tickets cost $7 for adults and $4 for students. You know 185 people attended. You know the total ticket sales. And then it says how many adults attended the show. How many adults attended the show, how many students attended the show. So the first thing we're going to have to do here is define our variables. So the question, what are you trying to solve, usually helps you figure out what those variables should be. So how many adults attended the show, how many students attended the show. So those right there are going to be our variables. So let's have A equal the number of adults who attended the show. Who attended the show. And let's let S equal the number of students who attended. Okay, so A is the number of adults. You know what? I don't like that A. It's hard to read. Let me just get that out of there and rewrite it. Oops, got to put it back in the writing mode. A. So A is the number of adults who attended the show. S is the number of students who attended the show. So let's think about how can we write two equations using those variables. I think the easiest and most obvious equation we can write is the one that involves this number, 185. We know 185 people attended the show. So that's super easy. We know that the number of adults who attended the show plus the number of students who attended the show equaled 185. Now, the second equation is a little bit more difficult, and that is using the other information that we have. So tickets cost $7 for adults and $4 for students, and the total ticket sales was $1,115. So what you can think about here is that the ticket sales totaled $1,115. So how could we get that number using 7 and 4 and using these variables A and S? Well, if A is the number of adults who attended the show, think about it. $7 is how much an adult ticket cost times the number of adults who purchased tickets. Okay, the number of adults who attended the show, since we said that everyone who purchased a ticket attended the show, plus think about what you would do with the students. Well, it costs $4 per student, and S is the number of students who attended the show. So right there we know that 7 times the number of adults is going to be the total amount of money earned from the adult ticket sales, and 4 times the number of students who attended is going to be the total amount of money that you collected from student ticket sales. And then if you add them together, that's going to give you the total amount of money of $1,115. So now you recognize this. This is just a system of equations. So let's figure out what to do. So I'm thinking the easiest thing to do is going to be to multiply this one by -4. Okay, because then I can get the 4s to go away. Okay, so I need to do both sides -4. So then this is going to be -4a minus 4s equals, and then 185 times -4 is going to be -740. Okay, and then underneath I'm going to write what I had before, which is 7a plus 4s equals 1,115. And then I just add them together. So negative 4a plus 7a is 3a. And then the s's cancel out because negative 4s plus its additive inverse positive 4s is going to go to 0. And then negative 740 plus 1,115 is going to be 375. And then if you divide both sides by 3, you get a equals 125. Okay? So we know that the number of adults who attended the show is 125. So now let's just think about this. If we know 185 people attended the show, and we know that 125 of them were adults, okay, that equals, when we do the subtraction, 60. So that's going to be, 60 is going to be what S equals, the number of students who attended the show. Again, we're assuming you're either a student or an adult. There's not another option there. So S equals 60. Okay, if you want to think about it as plugging it back in, we could plug it back into the first equation. A plus S equals 185. And then we know that A was 125 plus S equals 185. Subtract 125 from both sides. S equals 60. Okay, so that is another way over there to do it. But I also think it's good to think about the problem intuitively instead of being like, you know, plug it back in. I don't want you to memorize plug it back in. I want you to think about, okay, I just got an answer. What does that answer tell me? And that answer tells me, okay, well, if I have 185, I've already accounted for 125, so there's 60 people left, and since the only option is adult or student, that's the number of students. Good, since I already accounted for the number of adults. Okay, so what's nice to do, too, is to write it in a complete sentence. Because if you walk up and say, oh, A equals 125 and S equals 60, people are going to be like, what? But if you write it in a complete sentence, then people know what you're talking about. So I'm going to write it in blue, and the answer is, to this question is 125 adults attended the show. And 60 students attended the show. Boom. There's your nice answer, all written out in English. Plain English instead of math. And you have your answer. So 125 adults attended the show and 60 students attended the show. Very good.